Hey golfers, Drew Mahowald here at Titleist Performance Institute with Second Swing, joined by Lucas Bro Fitter here, and this is going to be fun. We just did one of these similarly with AP2 and T100.
Yep.
Now we've got the AP3, and this was a unique club because it only had one iteration, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it did.
In the 718 series of the irons, sort of as an in-between of the AP1 and AP2.
Correct.
And so now, as we sort of compared to something with this new generation, we've got T250 here.
Yep.
Both kind of have an element of distance to them, but obviously the T250 looks a lot cleaner.
Yep.
And it's a lot more refined over the last several years.
So this was our first attempt at making a golf club that wasn't quite a player's club and wasn't quite a game improvement club. So this was the first time that we decided, hey, we're going to make this really look like a player's club, but add a lot of tech, a lot of forgiveness to it. So this was a really fun year. I remember being on the road for this one, and it really took off, and it really solidified that there was a need for it in the marketplace. So I'll be really curious how it performs. I haven't seen one of these get hit in a long time.
I can't imagine.
And I'll be really curious how it stacks up against the 250. Obviously, the looks of them couldn't be any more different, and you can see the progression of how the trends have gone in the golf world.
Yeah.
But I'll be really curious how it hits.
Yeah, we talked about how that shiny chrome, and with the AP2, you can definitely see it here, and then how it's kind of more of the satin chrome with the current T-Series or the new T-Series. It looks a lot better to my eye. But I think what I'm also most curious about is going to be, again, the kind of the consistency on maybe the not perfect strikes that we have. We saw some slight, the improvements with T100 versus the AP2, some retention on the spin and distance on those misses. I imagine, I'm having hit 250 a little bit already. I know there's a lot of that performance in there. Just to see how much it stacks up against this will be fun.
I'll be really curious about new grooves, and I'll be really curious about off-center hits, just to see how those misses perform. That'll be really interesting.
Well, let's do it.
Cool. All right, AP3.
AP3. One thing I noticed, there's a little bit of offset, but it's also like very rounded.
Yes.
I feel like on the shape of it, which I think to me, the newer T-Series irons are a little more like, they're a little sharper.
I think one of its other defining things is the where the top line meets the hosel. It's on a very straight angle. It doesn't have roundness to it. It kind of peaks up at the top at a little point.
Yep.
Pretty good.
Notice some sound there, but I feel like that was pretty good contact.
That was great.
Packs a punch, that's for sure. Without without the numbers in front of me, it does feel like the ball is going further than.
Yeah. You're definitely getting more than your T100.
Right.
As you should. It's a bigger chassis, a little stronger loft.
That is a really good golf shot.
It's pretty good.
All right, so that's the first one where I'll be very curious, because that was maybe a half a groove to a groove low.
Yeah, I'd agree. And you could really see that the miss was different.
Yeah. That one was really good too. I'm hitting this club pretty good.
I was going to say, you might be an AP3 guy.
And maybe I am.
You know of a golf retailer that sells used clubs?
None come to mind right away.
Pretty good.
Is that one? Okay, so interesting on that one. That felt really good, but I feel like it really fluttered, kind of, and just like hung up there a little bit. Just by watching it, I can't see the numbers from here.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but
no, I think you're spot on. I think the biggest difference is you go all the way down to 128.5 ball speed, and that last one was actually the best strike of the day. I also find it interesting that you go from 5,900 to 7,100. So what ultimately happens is if you just look at the distance metric, your 183 carry, we'll call it 189 carry at the highest. So you're only 6 yards of difference.
Right.
But look at how different every one of the shots got to its peak apex. So the challenging part for that for a player, especially a better player, is if your ball isn't flying through that window, you only have yourself to blame on the golf course.
Yep.
So players will often start to compensate with their golf swing to make the ball fly the way they think it's going to.
Right.
So why that's happening, unsure.
Yep.
We could probably infer a bunch of things added up together.
For some reason, I am now like really seeing the difference in the grooves. Like, I know it's not supposed to be a big visual thing. It's more of like...
You mean when you're looking down at the club?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at...
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
What I see is when you have that chrome on either side of it, you have that straight line that frames the face.
Yeah, you're right.
So you have that, basically this is all matted down, and that's basically the whole head now.
Right.
I think that makes the club look smaller.
Yeah, you're right. It's just crisp.
But at the time, we were looking for a way to frame the golf ball, and this is what players were asking for.
Curious on that one.
That was great.
It's a good strike. May have turned that over a little bit much.
Good strike, though.
Yeah.
That's going back to the old you.
A little bit.
Got a little lazy with your aim.
Did I?
Yeah. Playing a little home run derby right now. That one I'm very curious about.
I am, yep. You definitely could tell the divot's a little deeper. I hit it a little bit kind of differently. Maybe a little high on the face. It's kind of similar.
Yeah.
Where it's a little bit, maybe an inch, or not an inch, maybe like fraction high on the face. But it feels pretty similar to the AP3.
That was really good. Let's get one more like that.
Like that.
Yeah, please.
All right.
See? On call. Great shot.
That was pure. What do we see?
So let's talk about this one at the bottom first.
Yep.
And that's the one that you chunked.
Yep. Okay.
So it was a pretty extreme chunk.
Yeah, I thought so.
And it still carried 184. The thing that I really like about it is you can fall in love with the spin retention, the launch, all those types of things. But the number one thing that stands out to me is none of those peak heights dipped below 100 feet. So you went 114, 100, 85, 101, 96, 97. That last one was your best one at 122, 114, 105, 101, 103, 108.
Yep.
And so what's happening is, yes, you're hitting the ball more squarely, but also if your ball is flying the way you think it should, even on a miss hit where you're losing almost 8 miles an hour of ball speed, your ball is still up at 100 feet. So because you're focused in the fitting world and when you're working with people on peak height, it's able to get to its destination a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I know throughout the day, we've talked about this left miss thing I have. I actually want to talk about that left miss because it didn't go any further.
It didn't go any further and it didn't dive out of the air. Normally when
103 feet in the air, still none of that changed. I mean, the landing angle is what, a half a degree?
But you yanked it.
And I did.
It was moving hard left.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can tell that's by far the most shut face angle if you look up there, any of the shots there, right? -2.7.
And so consequently, your spin rate came down, but because you struck it so solidly, you get the launch from the 250 head and from that golf club. And so again, it's at 103 feet in the air. If that ball is moving like this one is, at 96 feet, it's crashing sooner. And so that's often what you start to see. This is another reason why I focus so much on peak height, because if you can hit that same window over and over and effortlessly, I think your misses end up being better. You're going to chunk them sometimes. You're going to have the really big ones. But if you really compare, again, going back to it's east and west dispersion, it's not north and south dispersion.
I mean, look at the deviation on the carry there is 1.3. That's pretty darn good.
It's really good.
That's pretty, even with a big pole miss, and even with, you know, we talked about that chunk that lost probably what, 3-4 yards on the average there.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And in fairness, you hit that AP3 pretty good.
I did, and that's a really good dispersion.
Yeah.
And that's the point, Nary. If you're like on a budget and you're like, I need used clubs, AP3 is a good option.
Absolutely.
But the T250, excuse me, super forgiving on a couple of those swings that weren't perfect for me.
Yeah.
Especially that left miss that, you know, we've had a whole conversation about throughout the day.
Yeah.
With some other content. But to see that not go any further and actually not even be the furthest one for how good I hit it,
I agree.
is really good. So there's some consistency in here. There's some help on the miss hits, which I think is exactly where the golfer that's going to be playing this is going to need some of that help. Probably.
And the golfer that's really going to be playing this is the one that doesn't have the height, and they need this golf club to help them produce the height. And if they can get to it, they can now maintain it even when they miss hit it a little bit, which I think is crucial on the golf course.
Yeah, this was really cool.
It was good.
Some of the things that we thought we'd see, maybe a couple of things that kind of surprised us about the T250. But
I think irons are a little bit more complex than drivers sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
So I think showing the peak height conversation, I think that's the most interesting part to me personally. So
yeah, well,
cool.
Last thing we'll say is that the golfers need to make sure they get fit. If they're going to get T250 in the bag, go get fit, and you're going to see these peak heights like this. You know, help them out with the landing angles, stopping power, hitting good shots in the greens. But thanks, Lucas, so much.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.